Hello everyone, thank you for joining me. Thank you to those who are also joining in consciousness. And thank you to those who are listening to the recording. It's a real blessing to be here with you. Today I will be responding to a question that's been kindly sent to me about what protection means in the infinite way. But before I do, we'll start with a short meditation. And I'm going to read you an extract from Living the Infinite Way, which Joel describes how to meditate in the infinite way. And I'll read the extract and share on that. So this is Living the Infinite Way. And I'm reading from page 116. Hello, Gloria, and thank you for joining. Okay, so chapter 8, this is just a short extract, but it explains the purpose and why we meditate, especially at the start and the end of these live streams and all our groups. So meditation, Joel says, is the way by which we attain the kingdom of God, and then life is lived by grace. The ultimate of meditation is a state of complete silence within. The question naturally arises, for one who has not learned the art of inner silence, how is meditation accomplished? Certain it is that it is not a simple thing to achieve, because it is difficult to still the thinking mind. There is a way of meditating, however, which eventually will lead to a cessation of thought, leaving one in a sublime state of inner quiet. In this sacred and secret sanctuary of one's own being, only those thoughts which are of God enter. So that just gives you a brief outline of why we meditate in the infinite way. And I'll be devoting a whole live stream in July to meditation in the infinite way and how it differs from other teachings, why we meditate in the infinite way and the purpose of meditation. And I have a guest coming in to talk to me about the art of meditation. Her name is Crystal Starr. Crystal is a meditation practitioner and teacher, and we'll be sharing thoughts then on meditation in the infinite way. So I hope you'll join us for that. Okay, well, let's start our meditation now and rest in the silence. At the end of the meditation, I'll say thank you, and then we'll start with the question. So let's be still. Thank you. Hello to those of you who have just joined us, a warm welcome. Today we're going to be talking about protection and what that means in the infinite way. And I'm responding to a question that's been kindly sent to me. I will read out the question to you now. I'm paraphrasing the question, but you'll get the general gist of what the question was. So it says, as I recall, when someone looking for healing would come to Joel's office, he would quietly listen to them, then simply close his eyes, state, "God is," then go into a silencing of the mind meditation. I don't recall reading that Joel ever asked for spiritual protection, like many Reiki/energy healers. I suppose asking for protection affirms duality. And my response was, yes, absolutely, it would affirm duality. The whole underlying principle of the Infinite Way teachings is that of oneness, the oneness of our own consciousness, the one power that is our consciousness, the one intelligence, the one presence. So Joel knew that presence, our own consciousness, is expressed as a myriad of infinite people, places, things, forms, colours, everything we experience through the senses. It appears to be a myriad of things, but in reality it is our own consciousness. Our consciousness is the substance of everything that we experience. And that we never experience anything other than our own consciousness. So just to break this question down a little bit more, then Joel would simply close his eyes, state, "God is." Well, he may have done. He didn't just focus on one particular formulaic phrase. He might contemplate any passage from scripture or any spiritual truth before he entered into meditation. And the reason he contemplated a spiritual truth wasn't so much because of the power of the phrase that he used, but because it was a means for him to still the mind, so that he could then just rest in the oneness of his own being and let that out picture. You'll find, if you read the Infinite Way books, and all of the Infinite Way books except for the Infinite Way itself were edited from the talks that Joel gave. And as you read through, you will come across passages that are italicized. And those italicized sections were spontaneous contemplations that Joel experienced when he was giving the talks. So as I say, he wasn't repeating a phrase by rote before he went into meditation. He would just contemplate a spiritual truth and then allow that to be an avenue with which to which he could then rest in awareness. Glorian's kindly sent in a comment. Let me see. There is one experience of oneness, capital O's, Christ consciousness. Thank you. Exactly. One. That's the underlying principle of all the Infinite Way teachings. We only ever experience one being, one life. So protection for Joel then was really not protection against anything, because there wasn't anything other than his own consciousness, but rather the protection from the belief in two powers, protection from the belief that there was anything that could create discord, or that there was anything that could harm or annihilate itself. And I'm going to elaborate on this by reading two passages from two of Joel's books, which will explain this further. The first one is from the March 1955 Infinite Way letter that Joel sent out to his students, and that's in the Heart of Mysticism, which, as you know, we're going through in this series of live streams. And then the second extract, which the section of the extract is called The Nature of Protective Work, and that's in Awakening Mystical Consciousness. So firstly, let me read you this extract from the 1955 letter. It's on page 25 to 26. It's only a short extract. Okay. And the letter itself is called Protection. In the material sense of life, the word protection brings up the thought of defense or armor, a hiding place from an enemy, or some sense of withdrawal from danger. In the mental sciences, protection refers to some thought or idea, or some form of prayer that would save one from injury or hurt from an outside source. In the use of the word protection, thought is immediately drawn to the fact that existing somewhere is a destructive or harmful activity, or presence or power, and that protection, by word or thought, is a means of finding security from this danger to oneself or one's affairs. In the infinite way, we have learned that God is one. Therefore, God is one power, and we live in that conscious oneness, exactly as Glorian's just written. The moment the idea of God as one begins to dawn in consciousness, we understand that in all this world there is no power and no presence from which we need protection. You will see this as you dwell on the word omnipresence, and realize that in this all-presence of good, you are completely alone with a divine harmony, a harmony which pervades and permeates consciousness, and is in itself the allness and onlyness of good. Ponder this idea and meditate upon it, and note how the revelation and assurance comes to you within your own being that this is true. There is but one, and because of the nature of that one, there is no outside influence for either good or evil. There is no presence or power to which to pray for any good that does not already exist as omnipresence, right where you are. In your periods of communion, note the assurance that comes with the realization that God alone is, and that God's presence is infinite. There is no other power. There is no other presence. There is no destructive or harmful influence in any person, place, or thing. There is no evil in any condition. God could not be one and yet find an existence separate and apart from that one. God alone is being. Think of that. God alone is being. How then can you pray to God in word or thought? Or how can you defend yourself mentally or physically in the realization of God as being the one and only being? You see how the infinite way differs so vastly from some other spiritual teachings. And I will do a live stream on the differences, some of the differences between the infinite way and other spiritual teachings, especially the difference between the infinite way and Christian Science and metaphysics, because there's an important differentiation between the two. Okay, no other comments at the moment, in which case I will read our second extract. Please do interrupt me if you do have any comments or any questions. I will read our second extract, which takes this a step further. It's only brief, and this is in Awakening Mystical Consciousness. This is an old version of the book. And this is on page 154, as I said, the nature of protective work. Okay. It is necessary to begin every day with a form of spiritual realization that has been called protective work. This work is probably the most important of all your work in the infinite way. If you sufficiently protect yourself, you will have that much less need of spiritual help to overcome anything, because you will avoid those things most persons ordinarily have to overcome. Protective work is not a protection from anything or from anybody. It is protective work in the sense of protecting oneself from the operation of universal belief. And this next paragraph is italicized, so we know that that's a spontaneous contemplation that Joel had. Whatever of sin, disease, lack, limitation, storms, wars, infection, or contagion may take place throughout this day is actually the operation of a universal belief, carnal mind, the veil of illusion. Because this universal belief of a selfhood and a power apart from God is not God ordained. It has no person in whom, on whom, or through whom to operate. It has no power, and it has no law. As a matter of fact, it is not an it is an appearance. It is an illusion. It is merely a belief that derives its seeming power by acceptance, and I hereby reject it. I consciously reject the belief that there is any power but that of God, Spirit. I consciously reject the belief that there is a material or mental law with power, because God is Spirit, and God is the only law and lawgiver. Therefore, all law must be spiritual. And in that manner, Joel addressed any appearance that was presented to him. We've not discussed yet in these live streams spiritual law, and I think I may address that in our next live stream, because it ties in beautifully with another question that's kindly been sent to me. And that question was sent to me through our WhatsApp group, and it's an Infinite Way WhatsApp group that I set up and that I host in parallel with these live streams, and also with the book study groups that I facilitate. I've put the link for that in the description. We have a comment from Glorian again, and I'll read it out to you. Nothing has any effect on our true identity as Christ, the infinite, invisible, I am presence. Absolutely. So when I read the contemplation then that Joel gave in his talks, this was the realization that there was no power other than his own consciousness. So there was no power to be protected from. Because our spiritual identity, as Gloria has just pointed out, can never be harmed, can never be touched, because there is only that. Hello to those of you who have joined us. As I expect you've gathered, we're considering what protection means in the infinite way. And I've said that protection is really protection from the belief in two powers, the realization and remembrance that God is omnipotent. Okay, well, since there's no other questions or comments, let's draw this to a close with another meditation. And I invite you this time just to give yourself permission, just to be, and then rest in that. Okay, let's be still together now. At the end of the meditation, I'll say thank you, and then we'll leave in silence. Thank you so much for joining with me today. Thank you, Crystal. Thank you for your presence. Okay, let's be still. Thank you. Thank you.